So this morning we're going to start talking about communicating for success, and now's a good time to practice, because when you get clients you're going to have to talk with them and you're going to have to kind of lead those discussions. And lots of times we don't know exactly what communication is. We all know about talking, don't we? We even know about gossiping, and we know about the body language we send people when we want to send them a message, you know. Kind of give them the eye. Communication is actually the act or instance of transmitting information in the form of symbols, gestures, or behaviors in order to express an ideal or concept so that it is satisfactorily understood. When we communicate, we engage in sending messages, receiving messages, and establishing relationships. And that's the most important part of communication for the salon, is establishing that relationship with that client, making her feel comfortable with you, make them trust you. Because remember, the first thing we had to sell was ourselves. First thing we need to do before we start talking, and this is the one thing that gets a lot of us in trouble, is we do not organize our thoughts. You ever throw your mouth in gear before your brain gets there? We about all do that. So we want to collect our thoughts and feelings and what we want others to understand. It can be a simple task if you're truly in touch with your thoughts and feelings. It can require more time if you need to more fully explore your thoughts or form opinions on certain topics. And occasionally you may come by and ask me, how do you like my hair today? Or how do you think my hair would look if I put some streaks in it of some color? And I may just stand there and look at you for a moment, and you may think, well, why did I ask her? What am I doing while I'm standing there a moment? I'm thinking, how is it going to look? And then it may hit me that I don't think I'm going to like that. How am I going to say this? You know, and sometimes we don't take that extra time to think, and we come out and say, that's going to look awful on you. So we've got to learn to communicate, because we can't ever say that to a client. She's thinking about this service, and this service we can make money on, and we want her to get the service, maybe not quite the color she wanted, you know, a little something. So we need to stop for a moment, gather our thoughts. Collecting thoughts and feelings is something clients have to do as well, but we have a little harder time training them. You know, they're paying you, so they come in and they say whatever they want to. When your client comes to you for a color service and tells you she wants to go blonde but does not know just what shade of blonde she wants, she has not completed the process of collecting her thoughts. So she hasn't thought it all the way through. She's decided to color her hair. She knows she wants it lighter, but she don't know if she wants ash blonde, honey blonde, platinum blonde, whatever. So that's where you being organized comes in. You go get the color charts. Let her look. Hold them up to her hair. And you discuss with her the pros and cons of each one of the different things. Communication has always been about sending symbols, whether it's smoke signals, flag waving, facial expressions, or language itself. We rely on symbols to get our messages across. After you've organized your thought, your next step in the communication process, translate those thoughts and feelings into symbols that people understand. Problem with symbols sometimes is things mean different things to different people. In the United States, we shake hands. You know, we all believe in that. A lot of countries, that's offensive if you shake your hand out, to shake hands with them. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that their thought on that symbol is the same thing your thought is. If you have a client sitting in your chair who says she wants to become blonde, you have to assess if you have enough information from that client. Has the client given you enough symbols to adequately tell you what she's hoping to achieve? Are there questions in your mind about what she thinks blonde is? Does the blonde shade she's thinking about have a warm base color or a light platinum color with a violet base? Does she want her whole head colored or just want a few strands put in? You may need to help your clients articulate or clearly express their true wants and desires. And that's where some of our symbols come in, such as our color swatches and things, style books, photos. Where are you going to get these symbols? We got them all over the place. You can actually, and some of our colors are boxed colors so that there's a color on the front. Interpreting the messages. Sometime when our clients come to us and they want to try a new cut or a new color or maybe some perm for the first time, they're frightened. And they want to know what the repercussions are. You may know that the perm's going to dry out their hair, but they may not realize that. So you want to make sure through all of this process that you explain it to her, and the next thing we're going to go into is you explain it to her and have her repeat it back to you. And the same thing with her. Whatever she says, you repeat it back so there can't be this misunderstanding. She cut all my hair off. That is the #1 complaint from clients. I went to get my hair trimmed. She cut it all off. And it wasn't that the operator did it on purpose. The operator heard what she said, but she didn't listen clearly and she didn't talk back to her. So make sure in dealing with these, when dealing with clients, clarify or make clear the client's meaning. Begin by eliminating any clutter that's around so she's not focused on this, that, and the other, and you're not either got something, you know, the phone in your hand or whatever. You want this color? Yeah, I'll book you appointment. Yeah, we'll go out tonight. Yeah, this is, you know, don't be doing, you don't be doing 2 or 3 things at one time, and don't let her be doing 2 or 3 things at one time. Get her undivided attention. Seek out the specifics. Show her the options for blonde shades. Use symbols of your own, photos and color charts. Allow her to consider each shade for a moment. You ain't got to put it there. You want this one, you want this one, you want... You know, give her time to think and look at it mixed in with her hair or laying on her forehead so she sees it on her skin. Repeat back to the client in your own words what you think she is telling you. Let's assume I'm in your shop to get a trim. And that's what I tell you. I want my hair trimmed. How much do you call a trim? Let me see you measure a trim there for me. Y'all look around at what everybody's doing. How much difference they are in it. About a ½ inch, about an inch, whatever. Me, I call a trim about that much. So if you go cut an inch off, I'm going to be perturbed with you. You know, so make clear. Have tools. Let her show you how much. So reflective listening is when she tells you something, repeat it back to her. And it will determine whether the two of you are on the same page. It works with men, too. Remember yesterday we was talking about men never listen. They hear everything you say. It just goes right on through. I guess it's empty in there or something. But anyway, it goes on through, and make him repeat back to you that the back door is squeaking. It needs fixing. It's about to fall off of its hinges. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? Have him repeat back, yes, the back door's falling off its hinges. Then you say, it's your job to fix the hinges. And make him tell you back, now what are you supposed to do? Make him say, I'm supposed to fix. You know, and you've got to go through this with her, and it doesn't take as much time as you might think. But it's a lot better to spend that extra 2 or 3 minutes getting it repeated back to you than to cut off her hair. Because remember how many people is going to find out if she's unhappy. How many is it?
40.
About 40. And if we do a good job of it by taking this extra minute or 2, there'll only be 2 or 3, but that might be 2 or 3 extra clients we've wound up with. She really listens. I wanted to trim, and all she did was trim my hair. She didn't cut it off like so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so did. You know, so take your time. After clarifying and reflecting, the next step involves an intake of the client's particular situation and lifestyle needs. Find out how she normally cares for her hair. Explain the maintenance that's going to be required with this new product, whether it be color or perm. Alert her to styling products available. At this point, your discussion should be highly specific to your client and not in just general terms. The final step in the interpretation process consists of reading all the clues and symbols the client is putting out. Observe her gestures and facial expressions. What are they saying to you about how she feels? Is she at ease? Is she uncomfortable or unsure of herself? Is she concerned about something you have mentioned? Now is the time to address any questions that could have an impact on the final service. We've always got to remember in this situation, who is the professional? You are. You are. So you're the leader of all this, and you do know what the repercussions are. And you know how much better she'll look. Of course, the final decision lays with her no matter what you think, you know, how well it'll look or whatever. But give her all the information she needs to help her make wise choices and to help her be aware of the choice she's making, what the outcome of that's going to be. The interpretation process is just one phase in what will hopefully be a long and important process of relationship building. Over time, she may share important and personal material with you about her feelings, her preferences, her health issues, her grooming concerns, her self-image, and more. You may come to know this person very well and find yourself participating in her quest to become the person she wants to be. Your client may even tell you things that seem too personal. Sometimes when a client forms a bond of trust with her stylist, she may have a hard time differentiating between a professional and a personal relationship. That, however, is her problem. But you must not make it your problem. Handle your client relationships tactfully and sensitively. You are not a counselor. You're not a career guide for her. You're not a parental sounding board or a motivational coach. Your job and your relationship with your client are very specific. The goal is to advise and service clients in their hair and other aesthetic needs, nothing more. What about when she tells you something personal about herself? Well, just listen. That's exactly right. Don't make any comments. Don't say anything you may have to eat tomorrow, because that often happens, especially if they're having problems in their personal life. Of course, you might have already known that. You know, you might be heard through the grapevine what was going on. You don't want to go there, because first off, you don't know what all you heard from this other place, if it was all true or not. And the best thing to do is just through the conversation. You can't tell her, I don't want to hear that, because that's going to offend her, and obviously she needs to tell somebody. But you can keep your mouth out of it. What about when she leaves? Let's tell the other stylist in the salon about it. Well, what's wrong with that concept?
Can't do that, because then she might hear that she said that she won't trust you.
She's going to hear that you said that. It may not be that day. It may even be months. But at some point in time, somebody else heard it while you were talking, or the stylist tells somebody else and they know her. And, you know, best thing to do is just kind of act like a man, let it go in and go right on, pass on through and fly out the other side of the hedge, you know, whatever. All right. A lot of the time we're going to be communicating with our clients going to be during a consultation, and I'm not going to bog down really in this consultation, because each service that we go into, we're going to talk about a consultation. And so far we talked about kind of a color consultation. We'd have photos and hair swatches and that sort of thing, hair color swatches for her to look at. But it is a time to build a relationship with her. And a lot of operators do not like to take the time to do it, because it's a 15 or 20 minute period of time that you're not getting paid for. And oftentimes we look at short term, such as we want to do her hair today. But if we're very ambitious, when do we really want to do her hair?
Forever.
That's right. All the time. We want to do it today, that's for sure. We want that money today. But we want her next week, next month, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, because that's what we can depend on to pay our rent, our car payment, and all that, is those that constantly come to us. So now's a good time during the consultation to find out a lot of things about her. And as we go into styling, we're going to find out that we got to know a lot about her career and her personality and her styling abilities. We cannot put a style on a client that's real fancy or whatever, and she doesn't do much with her hair, or is not able to do much with her hair. You follow me? We also can't put something on there that wouldn't be good with her career. my instructors and myself can't come in here with 2 or 3 spikes sticking up here and one of them purple and one of them blue and all that. That's not going to work. And it might work a little better with us than it would with the English instructor or the math instructor. You know what I'm saying? Because it wouldn't go along with our career. It might suit our personal life. So you got to find out about her personality, her styling abilities, her career. And another thing you've got to always find out through this, and this is a hard thing to do because it seems like kind of delving into it. And the best thing to do is just give her all the information. Once we put hair color on, or relaxer on, or permanent wave on, at some point in time, it's going to need to be redone, isn't it? Because it won't last forever. She's going to have to buy different types of shampoo, different types of conditioners, and different types of styling products now. So during the consultation is a good time to explain all of that to her, so that before she makes that step, you don't want to slip her in and say, boy, I'm going to go $50 today. And then you lose her because you did not explain to her, especially like with hair coloring, if it's put on all over in about 4 to 6 weeks, she's got to come back for a touch-up. So you want to explain that to her, that there's going to be more expense and maintenance to it, and that you got to have different types of shampoo so the color doesn't fade off. And put that money out there on the board to her. And a lot of people hate to do that because they're afraid of losing her. If she wants her hair colored, what's she going to do? She's going to go ahead and do it anyway, isn't she? She sure is. You're not going to talk her out of it. She's got her mind made up now. All she's looking to you for is some reinforcements and to help me choose a color. She's going to go right ahead. So don't be afraid to put the maintenance schedule out there and the types of shampoo. When we want something, we want it, don't we? And our clients are the same way. Understanding the total look concept, and we've hit on this a little bit. While the health and styling of hair will always be your primary concern, as the professional, it's important to remember that the hair adorns the head, which is attached to the body, which in turn is reflective of an entire lifestyle. How can you help a client make choices that reflect her own sense of style? We all have a favorite hairstyle or two that we do, favorite haircut. You ever notice that everybody in some shops, everybody that comes out of there's got the same haircut or the same hairstyle? And we'll all have a tendency to fall into that if we're not careful. But we don't need to. We've become more creative by doing these different things that clients want. So start the process by doing a little research. Go to your local library, find a couple of books that describe fashion styles, and become familiar with them. We're talking about general styles now, not individual designers or designs. It's useful for developing a profile of the broad fashion categories that you can refer to when consulting with clients. A person may be categorized as having a classic style if they like simple and sophisticated clothing. A person who prefers a classic styling in her clothing is going to likely want a simple, elegant, and sophisticated hairstyle rather than one that's complex or wildly colored. Someone who prefers a more dramatic look will choose clothing, hairstyling, and accessories that demand greater attention and allow for more options. They will likely wear ornate clothes and may enjoy accessories like scarves, jewelry, and bells. So we want to get an idea about their lifestyles. You're going to do a nail consultation a little bit differently than you do a hair consultation, because in there you're going to take nail polishes in and products and all that. Skin care consultation is going to be the same way. You're going to go in and lay out cleansers and massage creams and moisturizers and so forth. We want to always fill out or have our client fill out a client consultation card. And on that, we're going to ask for their names and address, phone numbers, and those are important to us in the event that she's booked for an appointment and we have to be off work for whatever reason. Our child broke their leg or whatever, and we have to be somewhere. So we want that so we can get in touch with her. We don't want her to show up at our salon and see the sign on the door that nobody's there for the day because she's wanting to get her hair fixed. Always keep that client consultation card, and always try to keep it up to date. Things are going to change in her life. Is medication going to change? Occasionally. Might she have surgery in between visits? Yes. She may have children in between visits. Set your consultation up area up carefully so that it will just be you and her. Have someone else answering your phone at this time so she doesn't lose her train of thought and you don't lose yours. Go through the process with her. Try to make it where there's some outside windows so you get natural light, especially like with color consultation. Ask her if she'd like a cup of coffee or whatever. This is a fine time for you to drink coffee on the job after our work ethics yesterday. You know, have a Coke with her. Maybe she'd like some fruit, whatever. Relax her. Have the chairs comfortable while you're in there. And develop your listening and observational skills. She's going to tell you a lot about herself non-verbally. Look at how she's dressed. Check out her shoes, her nails. She may be a client for another service besides what she's there for if you can make suggestions. Make sure you do have pictures and books so she can understand and see. You know, and some people, and I notice this even in style magazines, they'll have a section for short hairstyles, medium hairstyles, and long hairstyles. In some magazines, they'll have short hairstyles that come to here. I call that medium, you know, but they call it short. And then you'll notice in some of them they'll have long hairstyle. It'll be to here, which is about that much longer than short, you know. So make sure you've got a variety of things out there for her to choose from. Some special issues in communication. I want you to always remember that a client's first impression of you may be through communication. She may just be moved to this town, looked in the yellow pages, picked your salon name out. She liked the name of your salon, so she called it. So her very first impression of you is when you answer that phone. So make sure you identify that she's got the right number, so you say your shop name. You give your name, because she doesn't need to be just thinking maybe she's talking to a recording or something that says hello. Give her your name and ask her, can you help her? And do it all with a smile so she hears that smile. Let's assume that her walking into the salon is the way you meet her. Try to meet her. Introduce yourself. What may I do for you today? How can I help you? If you know her and she's booked for an appointment, greet her by her name. And that means Mr., Mrs., Miss, whatever. Don't call her Sue or whatever her first name is. That's a line you don't step over. She must give you permission to step over that line. You know, and at some point she's probably going to, and right then may be the very time when you say, how are you, Miss Smith? Oh, just call me Jane. Now, that's what most people are going to do, but that's her option because she's your customer. To earn their trust and loyalty, you need to remember a few basic things. Always approach a new client with a smile on your face, and I know that is difficult sometimes when you've just had a client that really give you a fit, but that's got nothing to do with this one that walked in the door. Even if you're having a difficult day or a problem of some sort, keep it to yourself. The time with your client is for your client and her needs. It's not about you. Always introduce yourself. She needs to know who you're talking to. It's not a bad idea to wear a name badge. And a lot of salons have the little badges that have the scissors and the brush and the combs on them, and they're right cute. Names are powerful, and they're meant to be used. Many clients have had the experience of being greeted by the receptionist, ushered back to the shampoo area, and then led to the stylist chair. And when the service has been performed and the appointment is over, they don't know the name of anybody in the salon. If this is her first time there, take her through as you go through and introduce her to the shampoo person that you know she's not going to do her today, but next time she may be going to do her. Introduce her to the receptionist. Tell her if she needs to make a phone call or something, all she's got to do, and they'll help her make the phone call. Introduce her to everybody. Be yourself. Don't try to trick your clients into thinking you are someone or something that you're not. Just be who you are. Usually this works well with clients. You are a lot more at ease when you're yourself than when you're trying to be something else. Then we have our little problems with some of our clients. Sometimes they remind me of some of the problems I have with the students. We have people that are just going to be tardy. That is just one of the things they're going to do. We have it out there on the appointment book. For whatever the reason, they're just going to always be tardy. The book tells us several ways to go by it. Some salons have a tardy or late policy. Many salons set on a limited amount of time they'll allow a client to be late before they reschedule them. If your client arrives and you have the time to take her without jeopardizing another client's appointment, let her know why you're taking her, even though she's late. That's what I like for the students to abide by out there. If she comes in here late, don't act like she wasn't late. Let her know she was late and that you'll take her. But when your next client gets here, she's going to have to move over to the other chair and let you do the other client. That your other client is not going to wait because she was late. As you get to know your clients, you will learn who is habitually late. You may want to schedule such clients for the last appointment of the day. Well, that becomes a nightmare. I did that with one of mine that I had. And then I found myself working 45 minutes to an hour later simply because she wouldn't get herself there. In spite of your best efforts, you are running late. You realize that no matter what has happened in the salon that day, your client wants and deserves your promptness. So if you have your client's telephone numbers, call them and let them know this is when you're running late so that they can come a few minutes late. One thing I tell the students to do, and this is a good way to handle it in the salon, Miss Jones wants to come every morning or every Thursday morning at 8:30, but she never gets here to 9. Put her down at 9 o'clock. Don't say a word to her. Let her think she's got the 8:30 appointment. Book somebody else at 8:30. Just don't even argue with her about it. It's just a way of life with her, and that's what she's going to do. If you tell her you're putting her down at 9 o'clock, what time is she going to get there? 9:30. So there's no need to argue with her. If it becomes a problem, quit booking her. I have some clients that come out here that I've seen my students worry with until finally I just tell them, don't book an appointment ahead of time. I'm not going to allow them to book an appointment ahead of time for you because you never show up. You call and get me on the phone if you can come within the next few minutes. If I've got somebody that can do you, we'll do you. If not, you'll just have to wait because it becomes such a problem. Also handling scheduling mix-ups, and I know this happens occasionally, and occasionally it's probably the operator's fault. She calls, this person calls, and they want an appointment at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. And for some reason, you've got over here on Friday morning, and you write her down for 10 o'clock Friday morning, but she shows up Thursday morning, that's what she thought. Try to work her in if you can. Don't argue with her. In all of this we do, we're going to never argue with our client because we're a professional. And I'm going to tell you some ways to not argue with them, although you'd like to. Try to work her in. If this happens with this specific client again, that she comes in on the wrong day, then you can bank it's her. That she's just coming whenever she gets good and ready. And we have that to happen out there. And they'll come in, and they'll have an appointment on Friday, and they'll come in on Thursday. And then you find out through conversation, if you just listen to them a little bit, they say, well, I got a party I got to go to tonight, and it begins to hit you. And we make notes out there and put on our desk, and you'll see where this has happened with this client before. When it happens with the client the second time, you can almost bank it's not the operator. So some people are known for that too. Therefore, they go in and they say, well, you just put me down on the wrong page. They're getting what they want when they want it. You know, so you got to learn to handle that with diplomacy. Another hard thing to do is handle an unhappy client, because Oftentimes when they get unhappy, they claim they're unhappy with whatever we done to them, but the fact of the matter is they are just unhappy. If they say that they're unhappy about their hair or they don't like it, ask them, try to find out specifically what it is about it that they don't like. Because you can't deal with the problem if they say, I just don't like it. If they just don't like it, they can tell you something. You've got it too short, you've got it too curly, you've got it too blonde. Find out specifically what it is they don't like. Find out the specifics. One thing I have found out with clients here, and we use a real cut rate here because all we charge for is supplies. They know that it's students that do the work, and they just want to experiment. They want you to do 2 or 3 styles on them. You don't find that so bad in the salon, but that's going to happen to you out here. I don't like this. You're going to have to do it over. Well, you do it over, do what she says, and it's not your work she's not liking. She wants to see another style. You understand what I'm saying? Or ask, you know, if I come back tomorrow to get something else, am I going to have to pay for it? Well, yeah, we're going to use more supplies. I would think so. If it is possible to change what she dislikes, and this is for the salon, do so. It's a lot easier to try to satisfy her. But again, if this happens a couple of times with the same client, you need to try to unload her and let the shop down the corner have her. You know, you're just better off. If you cannot change what the client does not like because it might damage your hair, it's simply impossible to change. In other words, she says you've cut it too short. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. You must honestly and tactfully explain the reason why you cannot make the changes. Offer to give her a style later on in a month or so as it grows out. Offer her something for free. It's okay. Never argue with a client. Don't try to force your opinion on them. And it doesn't matter if you tell her that her hair looks wonderful that way. If she doesn't like it, she's going to never like it no matter what you, even if you know it looks great. Do not hesitate to call on a more experienced stylist in the salon. While you're here, do not hesitate to call on an instructor when you start having problems with clients. If after you have tried everything you are unable to satisfy the client, get the manager. If you are the manager, again, try to deal with her. Don't ever argue with her. If she stomps out of there mad, don't throw some words behind her. Just let her go, you know, after you've tried everything you can. In salon communication, I don't know how many of you will wind up working in a salon with a lot of other operators, but this is a very competitive business. And the more customers you have, the more money you make. So we all want more customers. And that can sometimes wind us up in a fuss with the ones that work next to us or down the road from us, whatever. Behaving in a professional manner is the first step in making meaningful communication possible. Many beauty professionals act immaturely and get overly involved in the salon rumor mill. Salon community is usually a close-knit one in which people spend long hours. You will work together, in a sense live together, sharing professional and personal experiences. It is important to maintain boundaries around what you will and will not do or say at the salon. This is your place of business. It must be treated respectfully and carefully. So how do we communicate with our coworkers? The first rule is treat everyone with respect. Why will that rule make communication work better in the salon? You want to be respected, so you treat them with respect. Do you have to like them? No, you don't have to like them, but you have to respect them. Your colleagues are professionals who service clients who bring revenue in the salon. They have information they can offer you. Now, something I don't like and you're not going to like either, and probably if you work with people, you're going to wind up working with one of these. While you're doing a style, they run over there, let me show you this. Let me do that for you. Let me show you this. You're going to encounter that in the classroom because we always, every class of students we get, they have 1 or 2 instructors in the group. They never let me know about it, but you always got 1 or 2. sometimes that help can be helpful, and sometimes that help can really grate on your nerves because you're going along there and you think you can do it better than she can. And you may very well be right. They help their self-esteem by putting their help on you whether you want it or not, because it makes them feel good. You know, don't tell them to get back over to their station. You know, that's unprofessional. But if you know they're good about doing this and running over there all the time, talk to them when the customers are gone and say, I really appreciate you trying to help me, but I've got several customers who do not want anybody else messing with their hair but me. And I'm afraid it's going to offend my customers. That's a good way to take care of it. Different types of personalities working side by side over long and intense hours are likely to breed some degree of dissension and disagreement. So in order to learn and grow, you must make every effort to remain objective and resist being pulled into spats and cliques. And this is what happens. It's like my grandmother used to say all the time, you could put two children together and they could play all day long. You put the third one in it and they wouldn't last 5 minutes because two of them's going to group up on the third one. You'll find this sort of thing happening in the salon. But that's adults in the salon. This is not kids out in the yard playing. But it happens. Jane gets mad with Sue. So now Jane wants you mad with Sue too. You can't go there. Actually, you may really agree with Sue. But you don't want to get in the middle of it anyway, so you don't let Sue know either, even though you agreed with her. Just stay completely out of it. Not only will this be unpleasant for you, but it also will be felt by your clients if you get drug into the middle of it, who may decide to take their business elsewhere because they're tired of Jane and Sue bickering and carrying on, and you winding up in the middle and chatting about it and, you know, taking sides or whatever. Always be honest and sensitive. Many people use the excuse of being honest as a license to say anything to anyone. You ever notice that? I want to ask your opinion on something. That's, you know. So be careful of that. If you know you got somebody that's going to answer anyway and you're going to get your feelings hurt, don't ask them, I want your opinion on something. That's the opinions that you don't want. Go to somebody that will be honest but kind with it. You know, it's all right to say that red really wouldn't look good on your hair. It's how you say it. And it's, do they want to know that? Don't just run up to them if they're talking to somebody else. How you think this would look on my hair? And you run over there and get in the middle of all of it, you know, because you want to be mean to them. And sometimes we just get a little mean streak. While honesty is always the best policy, using unkind words or actions with regard to your colleagues is never a good idea, so be sensitive. Put yourself in the other person's place and think about how you'd like to be treated. Remain neutral when you get these little spats or cliques going. It's best not to be real big buddies with any one person in the salon when there's 3, 4, 5 people in there. Best to choose your friends outside of work and just get along with everybody. Seek help from someone you respect. If you find yourself in a position where you are at odds with a coworker, try to talk to that coworker. If that doesn't work, go to your manager. And try not to take things personally. Sometimes when people are being mean to you or saying mean things about you, I've always heard, consider the one that's doing the talking. Look at who's talking more than what they're saying. You know, when you consider that. And a lot of people go by that. They are not really paying that much attention that somebody has said something mean about you or whatever, because they know that that person is always saying something mean about everybody. So in 3 minutes it's all forgotten. And so don't take it personally when something is said about you or said to you. Think that maybe they're having a bad day or they're just a mean person. So if we take everything personally, we wind up with our feelings hurt oftentimes. That rubs off on our clients, or we wind up worse than having our feelings hurt is we wind up angry, and then our clients don't know what all happened, and they kind of get this angry vibes from you. They think you're angry with them. That's not good, is it? Keep your private life private. Why do we keep hearing that? In just about every section we've had, we had compartmentalization. Why is that such a big deal to keep your private life private? They don't want to hear it? It may be offensive to them. That's not the kind of conversations they want to be in.
All your business around town.
You don't want it all over town either, do you? And this has never amazed me, and I've watched this happen in the salon, and I've watched it happen here in class. They come in and they tell all their business. And the next thing you know, somebody from another department says something about their business to them. How did you find that out? Well, so-and-so told me. Then they want to come back and jump on that person for telling it. The fact of the matter is, you sit there and told it yourself. You know, didn't you know it was going to go further? So keep it private. Don't tell it. Communicating with managers can sometimes be a problem or be hard to do. We're nervous when we have to do that sort of thing. We don't know what to tell them. We don't know whether to go in there and talk to them. And if they call us in there, naturally we're nervous because we don't know what we're getting called in the office for. If you've got a problem, before you go to your manager with the problem, think that problem over and think of some possible solutions to have to suggest to them when you go in. They like that. They may not choose one of your solutions, but at least they know you have given it enough thought that not only do you see the problem, you see ways it could be solved. So be a problem solver. Make sure you get your facts straight. Don't run in there telling them something that you heard Jane say, that she had heard Sue say, that she'd heard Sam say, and that you think this is going to wind up being a problem. Make sure you've got the facts. You stop, look, and listen. Be honest and open. Don't add your little spin to it because you didn't like Sue to start with. Do not gossip or complain about colleagues. The main reason for that is they're going to find it out. And then you're going to be confronted. And then here you go. Check your attitude and make sure when things didn't go quite right that it wasn't you that just flew off a little too quickly. Be open to constructive criticism. It's never easy to hear that you need improvement in any area, but keep in mind that part of your manager's job is to help you achieve your professional goals. To me, that's the hardest part of being an instructor. You've been tardy too many times. You've been absent too much. You went out there and snapped up Brandy's, snapped her up or whatever. I've got to call you in and talk to you about it. I know you've been having a hard time at home. Your husband's run off with your next door neighbor, and now you're having financial problems. All these things happen. I know you're having a hard time, but that had nothing to do with her out there. And it's very difficult for me to call somebody in and talk to them about how they've acted or their attendance or whatever. I find that very difficult because people are not open to constructive criticism. But you got to learn, if you're going to operate a salon, you're going to have to learn to talk to them, and you're going to have to learn to take criticism, because all of us that works for anybody else or with anybody else is going to be criticized on occasion. Communicating during an employee evaluation. Now, we know we have been on the job every day. We've come in early. We've done some of the cleaning in the salon. We've went way above and beyond the call of duty. And we think we deserve a raise because there's a lot more money coming into the salon simply because of some of the things we've done. And it's time for our evaluation. Don't be afraid to sell yourself during your evaluation. Bring out the things you've been doing very good. Make sure they know that. Sometimes it's easy for an instructor too. When I ask you to come in and have yourself graded on your work ethics evaluation, I want you to put some good things down there. There's some good in everybody. There's some things that everybody does good. There is some weaknesses in everybody. I want you to learn to recognize both. Don't mind selling me on it. Don't come in there with a bill of goods that's no good, because I've already, by the mid-quarter, I already know when it's no good. So don't mind talking with your employer. They may be wanting you to give them some more suggestions about things that could be done. Make productivity better. Save more money. Some of these things you've done. You got to remember, during your evaluation that the person you're talking to is a person just like you. And as long as you've got the well-being of the business in mind, they're very open to what you have to say. And oftentimes, if it's in a situation where they could, they will give you a raise or would like to give you a raise. Or if there's another level in management, they may go to that other level to help you get that raise. All right, do we have questions? The last thing I want to end with is I want to tell you about this client that drives you wild every week, just to give you a little example of how to handle clients. She never likes what you've done, but she comes every week to you and gets her hair done. Why is it she doesn't like what you've done? She's not happy with herself, and it wouldn't matter what stylist was doing her hair, she wouldn't like it. But she comes to you every Friday morning at 9 o'clock. And when she leaves for the rest of the day, you're in a bad mood because you have heard her gripe and you can't take it anymore. And you've got a good clientele now. You don't have to have her anymore like you did when you started out. But you're a professional and you're not going to argue because there's other clients that come in the salon. So what are we going to do with her? When we get to the desk to collect her money, she's going to say, put me down for next Friday morning, 9 o'clock. Now, ma'am, I'm not going to put you down next Friday morning at 9 o'clock. You've been unhappy with the styles for a long time. I'm not able to please you, and I think you'd be a lot happier if you went to someone else. So I'm not going to book you this time because I think somebody else could probably do a lot more with your hair. Might sound like you're beating yourself up a little bit before you're fixing to get rid of her, because there's only 2 or 3 things that can happen. She can't argue with you. You're saying you're not going to put her down. You're saying she will be happier somewhere else. You're looking out for her. She's going to go either cuss you out right there and all you got to do is walk away. Don't say anything back to her. Or she's going to go home and get to thinking about that she has for a long time complained every time you've done her hair. And she's going to call you back and let you know that and tell you she'd like her appointment back. You know, that she realizes she's been difficult. She'll become one of your best customers. Or either she'll go to the salon down the corner. Either way, you're out of it. You know, and who cares if that one on the corner gets her money? Let her wreck somebody else's day. So there comes a day when but you learn to communicate. You don't tell her, no, I'm not doing you anymore. I can't do anything to satisfy you, da-da-da. You tell, I think you would be happier. Then you and she both are concerned about her happiness. And that's always how you want to deal with somebody. If somebody's wanting to argue with you in the salon, remember there's other people there. And just because she's going to do that doesn't mean you do that. You are the professional. You do not have to argue, scream, and cuss with them, no matter how strong the desire may be at times. And it will get strong at times that you really, think I just can't bear any more of this griping. All right, we got questions?
What do you do about people that come and they just want to stay, like little old ladies come and they come at like 8:30 and they want to stay until 1 o'clock and they're sitting around and everybody else's business. And, what do you do about that?
Well, you've got to get them out of there, that's for sure.
I mean, you don't want to be ugly to them.
You don't want to be ugly to them. Yeah, that would be very helpful, but that's a hard job. Be a little easier to get her out. Just tell her, say, I just love your company, and I love it when you're here. Put her to shampooing. They did that. Yeah. They did that with one, and she just died this year. She was 94 years old, and she had only been quit shampooing in one of the salons for 1 year. And she was the funniest little old lady. You need to talk to her about it and just tell her that you don't have the room. Lay it on the state. Tell them regulations doesn't let you just have people sitting around in there because of the chemical smells. Tell her they're bad for her. The chemical smells are not good for you and all that, to spend extended periods of time in them.
Because my aunt's got one that she does every Friday morning. And she comes at 8:30, and she stays until 1:30, 2 o'clock every Friday.
I know, and that's, bless her heart, that's their social,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
you can't make
that's
her leave,
social.
but she's talking to everybody, loves everybody, and everybody's just like, oh, Miss Louise is there, oh gosh. I mean, you can't.
Well, you just need to kind of handle it in some way, just, you know, and like I said, I'm bad about laying stuff off on the state. The State Department's not going to allow you sitting back here eating and drinking in this whatever, you know, and just act like I'm perturbed about it too. And just, I just explained to her about the chemicals and that actually we weren't supposed to let people stay in there for extended periods of time, that we have to go and have skin tests and blood tests and all to make sure,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
But no, you don't want to be mean with her. All right? Any more questions?